Is this a trick to make me not want to eat meat or cheese or dairy anymore? Because it's working.
Oh, it's working? Then yes, it is. My name is Natalie, and I'm here with Brian. And today, since it's 420, we're going to be talking about the legality of marijuana and then some other topics as well. So you're from Denver, so weed is legal there, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And are you in favor of legalizing it everywhere? Do you think it's a good idea?
I do. I think that the way it's affected minorities, people of color, is one of the most disgusting things that's ever happened in this country. And
how the laws were basically created to, make them criminals?
Initially to prolong slavery. Yeah.
So would you agree that legality does not define morality?
1,000%, yes.
And what are some other examples of that kind of throughout history?
Ooh, of legality not defining morality. Wow, that's a thought-provoking question. Let me get back to you on that.
Okay. Yeah, there are some that you don't even want to say out loud, right? Like where you could go
No, I'm drawing a complete blank, but
okay.
I mean, there's countless. Well, legality. I mean, there are laws about what you can teach in schools. Who's to decide whether that's morally right or wrong, or I mean, there's lots of things like that. I can't.
Yeah. One example I like is gay marriage, right? Like if someone got gay married in 2014 when it wasn't legal versus 2015 when it was. It's the same action a year apart. So obviously that doesn't change the morality of it. Do you think that culture defines morality?
I think it frames it. I don't think it defines it. I think morality defines itself. I mean, people define for themselves what they think is moral. I mean, something I may feel is morally right, you may think is morally wrong. And who's to say which one of us is right or wrong? I mean, it's not my place to say that, or any of us. So.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of a good way of looking at it until there's a victim involved or something, which is to say maybe you don't think it's wrong to beat up a kid. I'm sure that you do think that's wrong, but that wouldn't change the action of beating up the kid, right?
True. Yeah, that's true. There are some absolutes, right? I mean, hurting other people, right? If we're talking about, gay marriage doesn't hurt anybody. So that's different, right? But yes, absolutely, there's some lines there, yeah.
Yeah, totally. So culture doesn't define morality, legality doesn't. Do you think there's any moral rules that can be applied, maybe that reducing suffering is good or not harming others? Would you agree with that? Is there anything you want to add?
100% I'd agree with that. It's interesting that we're framing this in the context of morality. I think that's what's maybe a little confusing for me because I think society can very easily agree that on some of those things, right? And should. Are those morals, or is that everyone coming together and saying we're not going to do that to each other? I don't know. Maybe that's the same thing. Maybe not.
Yeah, I kind of get what you mean. A lot does come from society, and also people change morals throughout time, right? There are things that we look back on 100 years ago that were completely acceptable, child labor was accepted until the 1920s, and today we're okay, kids probably shouldn't work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Kids probably shouldn't work. Yeah.
Although we do force them to go to school, which I did not like. So do you think there's anything that most people are currently doing in society that is morally wrong?
Most people in American society?
Yeah, or even in the world.
Most people are doing that's morally wrong. The first thing that comes to mind is greed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of behavior, and I don't know if it's most people. I really want to believe it's not, but there's a lot of it, and I guess greed in and of itself is not an action, but the actions that are taken because of that greed are pretty disgusting. And yeah.
Like kind of exploiting people and destroying the world in the name of profit, right?
Oh, deforestation. Yeah, I mean, sex trafficking is clearly morally wrong, but most people don't.
Yeah, most people don't do that. Hopefully, unless I'm like, don't know about it. Yeah. So what do you think about the way that humans treat animals in our society?
Oh, that's interesting. You know, I've been watching the horse-drawn carriages come through here, and I know horses are powerful creatures, but they don't look like they're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, so they're actually mules, and they say that mules are like hardier. That's what they say here. But you're right, they don't look like they're having fun, especially when it's raining. You know, the people are covered, the mules aren't. So do you think that that's unfair to the mules?
Sure. I mean, nobody asked the mule if they wanted to do that, right? I mean, we were in the airport today, and there was a service dog. At least they were wearing a service dog, you know.
You never know at airports.
Right. And I don't know. We have a dog. We've had a couple dogs, and I don't know. I was looking at it differently today. Like, there's this dog. He was an older dog, and he's on a leash, and so he's moving slow. The owner wanted to walk a little faster, and
Were they like dragging the dog along?
not quite, but almost. And it's just like, that dog probably wants to just chill and sit down, but it's on a leash. Would I want to be on a leash? No, so yeah, how we treat animals is interesting. I mean, dogs, they're bred to be domestic and to want, I guess, companionship. It seems that way anyway, but how do we really know?
Yeah, that's a good point. And like, there are a lot of animals that we've like selectively bred, for our purposes, as opposed to what that want. Yeah, so I think it's really interesting that you're putting yourself in the animal's perspective. What do you think about like farm animals and how we treat them?
So I was talking with someone in here actually about crawfish farming. And he said, I noticed a lot of more crawfish farming right off the highway. I said, how do you spot that? He said, they're like flooded fields with these cages, which made me think about all kinds of fish farming and chicken and stuff. And I mean, those animals don't want to be stuck in a cage or even cage free where they're
in a shed.
Yeah. Well, how's that better? So we were in Oregon in Tillamook. Went to that I guess it's not a factory, but the Tillamook facility where
What's a Tillamook?
They make all the cheese. They have tons of cows that make all that Tillamook cheese, which by the way is definitely better than other. It's amazing. These cows are treated so nicely. They have, and still, I mean, wouldn't a cow rather just be free? I guess. But these cows had like these. There's these back scratching machines, and they can go walk up against it, and it turns on and starts scratching them. And so they talk about how happier the cows are and how it makes better cheese. So I don't know where I was going with that.
So you think that like the happy cows produce like happy cheese, maybe?
I think happy cows are better for the cow and for everyone and for the planet, and but it's a really interesting question that you've asked. I mean, the happiest cow is probably just a free cow.
Yeah, and especially because like I think a lot of people don't necessarily know much about the dairy industry. Like, do you know why cows produce milk in the first place?
No,
Yeah, so I never knew either. I thought they just like had a bunch of milk, but they're mammals like us, right? So they only produce milk when they've given birth. So how do you think they get pregnant in the first place?
Well, the ones at the Tillamook factory are probably impregnated then, yeah.
By who?
By not another loving cow.
By a human, right? Yeah, so typically in the industry, they jerk off bulls and then collect their semen, and then it's sold to dairy farmers who, forcibly impregnate the cow. And then when the baby's born, where do you think the baby goes?
Is this a trick to make me not want to eat meat or cheese or dairy anymore? Because it's working.
Oh, it's working? Then yes, it is. But I never knew this stuff, so I'm just kind of educating people and encouraging people to think about our relationship with non-human animals, because you kind of hit on it earlier, like we love dogs, but is there any moral difference between like a dog and a cow or a chicken or a pig?
Have you read? Oh my God, what's it called? There's a book. It's a sort of a science fiction book. I'll think of it in a minute. And there's a mixture of a little Catholicism in there because one of the characters is a Catholic priest in South America. But they end up going to another planet. There's this, which is really interesting because, I mean, today we're talking about sending people to Mars and stuff, right?
Right.
But they go to this other planet, and when they get there, spoiler alert, in the end, they end up they are essentially like dogs. They become like pets to these other creatures on this planet. And it's just an amazing twist to think about that. Like, what if we were the dog?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that they like ate them, like they were like farm animals or something. Yeah, I think I'd rather be a dog than like a pig, right?
Yeah, but still, I mean, they were kept in a cage. They were on a leash. I mean,
it's just kind of the taking away of freedom to me that is scary, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what if we're not the dominant species one day?
Yeah. Or if, I mean, just because we are dominant, do you think that gives us right to treat other?
No. But I mean, that's the reality today, and so we're not in the dog's position.
Right.
But one day, we might not be.
Who knows? There could be aliens whenever. Well, do you think you would ever consider like not consuming animal products or anything like that?
I would consider that. That's a, I'm over 50 years old, and for 50...
You look great.
Well, thank you. You do too.
Well, I'm not 50.
Right. For 50 years, I've consumed animal products, and so when you do anything for that long, man, that's a twist of the mind to...
It seems very daunting, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm also not sure that humans are really built to survive off of vegetables only.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure about that. I mean, I've seen a lot of people do it and not turn out really well. Their health has gone down the tubes, and
yeah, there's definitely ways you have to be healthy about it. Like, do you think that people can survive and thrive without animal products, though?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't.
Yeah, I would love to give you information on that. One documentary that I think is great is called Game Changers, and I think it came out in 2018. It's got like Arnold Schwarzenegger, a bunch of football players, the strongest man in the world, and it shows how like switching to a plant-based diet actually made them stronger and more physically fit. And it kind of goes more into the science of whether or not we're truly omnivorous, maybe we're herbivorous, but at the end of the day, I think the more important question is like, just because we can exploit animals, does that mean that we should?
Well, no.
Yeah.
That was a hypothetical, or whatever the word is.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, you're right that it's very daunting. And I ate animal products for 30 years of my life, and it wasn't until I learned more about the industry that I felt compelled to change, because things are getting worse and worse every day. Everyone knows that animal agriculture is terrible for the animals, but I don't think most people don't know the extent of it, and it's really a lot worse than people think. It also has disastrous effects for the climate and pandemics, like more pandemics than ever come from animal agriculture. So there's a lot of compelling reasons to switch.
For sure. And, to give you an idea of how scary it is, I mean, your sign talked about thought-provoking questions, and I like thought-provoking questions, and I like challenging my own thinking.
And I truly appreciate it, because a lot of people don't.
Yeah, well, and so, even so, I've put some Netflix shows about some of this stuff in my queue, and then never been able to bring myself to watch them, right? Because I just have a feeling that it's going to make me really uncomfortable about my own habits, right?
Right. And I will say that everyone thinks it's going to be a lot harder than it actually is. Like, my favorite food before I was vegan was nachos. My favorite food is still nachos. I just use vegan cheese and black beans instead of ground beef, or impossible meat, things like that. So it's almost like you can just take the meals that you already eat and just change one ingredient, and then, you've got your favorite meal vegan. So yeah, it's really cool.
Can you do it with pizza?
Absolutely. Yeah, most pizza places actually have vegan pizza now too. Yeah, I love pizza. I eat it all the time. But yeah, so what do you think's more important, like your taste buds or animals' lives?
My taste buds.
Your taste buds are.
I'm kidding.
Okay. People say that to me all the time.
No, that's. I mean, the obvious answer is my taste buds are not important in any life. That doesn't, that doesn't make it any easier to make that kind of a change for sure. That's yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it can feel more daunting than it is. Cool. Well, if I give you like a card and it has a 22-day vegan challenge where like you can basically sign up, get a trained nutritionist, they send you information, or I can just write down some documentaries that maybe you can get around to watching. Would that be something you'd take a look at?
Yeah, I've told you how difficult it was to bring myself to do that already. But conversations like this sort of edge you along, right? And
yeah, and I mean, I wasn't vegan until I saw an activist talking to people. So I think it can, because that's how we form new cultural norms, right? Is through nice conversations, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, one last question for you. If you could live a life where you harmed humans, harmed animals, or harmed neither, which would you choose?
Humans? No.
Only if they're ugly.
No, not ugly, just mean.
Yeah.
No, I mean, of course, neither. I don't want to harm anything.
And I think that's amazing.
I do, right? I eat, right? That's what
yeah, but not like people aren't totally conscious of it, but now you're more conscious of it.
Not that I wasn't before.
Right.
I can't claim to be ignorant and and clean on that to this point, right? I mean, but yeah, that's tough. Yeah, you've provoked some thoughts.
Awesome. I'm so happy. And do you have any questions for me?
How long you been doing this?
Yeah, so I've been talking to people on the street for almost a year at this point. It was essentially right after the vaccines came out. I was like, I'm hitting the street. So yeah.
Wow. And how has it gone? Like, what kind of effect have you had? People say, "Oh my God, I'm going vegan," or like people more like me, like I don't know. I mean,
you're pretty. I think you're gonna go vegan. But yeah, some people say they're gonna go vegan. Some people get mad at me. There's some people get mad at me, and then later, like this guy that's always out here, now we're friends. So you never know what's gonna happen. But it's been really amazing. And this month, I'm actually doing a 30-day challenge where I have one conversation a day, and this is day 12, so right in the middle.
Right on.
All right, well, any more questions? Do you want to wrap it here?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Oh, can you tell anyone watching to like and subscribe?
Like and subscribe to Natalie.
And you're going vegan?
I'm going vegan. Woo!
Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button, and if you missed yesterday's video, click to the left.